Let's head over to Mitch Joel, tech advisor, investor, and author of Control Alt Delete. And we always head to him with the big questions about technology and society and how they intersect. Mitch, welcome back to the show.
Always happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Les.
So, a reason you're on this week, Reuters obtained access to documents that show that Meta, and everyone uses Meta products, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, that Meta is aware that they're bringing in about $16 billion of revenue a year. And just to put that in perspective, all NFL football TV broadcasts bring in last year they brought in $14 billion. Okay. So that's just the dollar signs we're talking about. $16 billion from Meta here. Okay.
It's actually $7 billion. Still bad.
Seven is the profit. Seven is the profit.
$50 billion is the amount of ads that are being shown every single day.
I said revenue, right? So 16 billion is the revenue, 7 billion is the profit that's coming in here, which just shows you just how huge the number is. Okay. So Mitch, it also, Reuters reports that Meta knows this is going on. And when it comes down to it, they're siding on, let's keep this money train going. What's your reaction to this?
This could be one of the most damaging reports on any media property we might have ever seen. And I find it incredibly curious how it's not getting more traction. Now, again, we are in the allegedly phase. This is a Reuters report. I'm hopeful that the full story will come out in the sense of also hearing more from Facebook who have commented on this. But this goes so much deeper than just we're showing ads and it's a problem. It's showing, if true, we'll keep using the word alleged, that, I mean, it's almost unbelievable to fathom we're in a world where essentially they're saying close to potentially a third or a half of all scams in the US are even connected to Facebook, Meta, WhatsApp. I mean, this is a staggering thing, and that it's known for years. And it has not only just failed to identify, but even stop this avalanche of ads. And like you said, what they've done is, in looking at this, have said a couple of things. One, that they would rather deal with being punished for it because they know the punishment amount will be less than what they're taking in. So they're waiting to actually be punished, knowing full well. Two, they have the full technology to detect that these are scams before even users are complaining about this, and they're able to rank them. And the ones that they're ranking as a high probability, they're simply charging them more in the hopes that they'll go away versus doing something about it. So on top of that, you have a world where consumers are actually complaining and absolutely nothing is happening. According to some of the staff members at Facebook and Instagram, they're saying that users, people like you and I, are filing about 100,000 valid reports of fraud taking place. And Meta is either ignoring them or incorrectly rejecting 96% of these.
And do you know how much it takes for someone to actually take the time out of their day to report this kind of stuff? So if they're getting 100,000 reports, what does that say about how many times people are actually seeing this stuff? That to me is staggering. I want to pick on one thing that you said, okay? And this is Reuters says they have viewed the internal documents and they've published them. You can actually see many of these internal documents that they've seen. And they say, as you pointed out, that what they've decided to do in many cases is charge these scammers higher rates instead of blocking them.
They actually have a name for it. They call them penalty bids.
What does that say? If they're like, oh, you know what? Well, we could get rid of them, but let's just see if we'll charge them more, and maybe that'll get rid of them that way, knowing that probably these scammers know it's well worth the cost.
Yeah, those suspected of committing this fraud, they'd have to pay Meta more to win the ad auctions, again, because they qualify or rank within their algorithm of being designated as this type of person. And, that's going to impact profits and reduce the number of users exposed to the ads. But again, in the algorithm too, if you click on these ads, what do you think happens? And this was also proven in this reporting, that you see more of these ads and have more of these problems. And it's just this never-ending cycle. What is most frustrating to me is it's one thing to say, we talked about this many times, fake news.
Yeah.
And how, look, in Canada, you can't see any news on Facebook. That's a longer, different conversation. But the idea being that it would be really hard based off of some of this content to tell from a human perspective, is that fake news? What's the intonation? Why are they doing this? How is it positioned culturally? What's going on? This is the next level where they've built a technology to identify whether or not these are fraudulent or having problems or not. And within that, can't seem to shut it down. I mean, if you look at this, it is a heavy indictment when you actually look to see what they're talking about. We're talking about not just recently, you're talking about years. You're talking about a world where they have looked at it and essentially even ranked this in terms of how people get punished for this, which it seems kind of weird, where if it's a small business, it has to be reported 8 to 10 times, but some of the bigger ones, hundreds of times, and nothing is being happened.
With Mitch Joel here. Now, Mitch, one other thing that strikes me from Reuters reporting is there's a team, right? Inside Meta, there's a team that's responsible for vetting questionable advertisers, but that team is told they're not allowed to take actions that could cost Meta more than 0.15% of the company's total revenue. So I find that very curious too. You put a team in charge. Okay, that's a good thing. You've got a team responsible for it, but you handcuff them and say, well, don't you dare do anything that cuts off too much of our revenue. I'm just wondering, Mitch, if you're as concerned as I am about where this all heads. Like, again, and it comes down to trustworthiness here, because boy, am I losing faith when I read stories like this.
Look, you have to hope that what's the saying, that light provides the best disinfectant to this, because you are in a world where the representative says that they are aggressively fighting fraud and scams, because obviously people on the platforms don't want this content. Legitimate advertisers don't want to be aligned or have this be a part of it. And ultimately, it's not great for the platform if this is happening. But again, size and scale of it makes this a small percent. Meta is claiming that it's presenting a selective view in terms of what this is, and it's distorting Meta's approach to fraud and scams. But then they're digging in and speaking to some of the people there, and the people are saying otherwise. It's funny, on the weekend, I was walking through a lesser shopping mall, and I was somewhat surprised to see so many stores and kiosks selling what I would say are also either fraudulent, scammy, and or non-authorized products. It could be perfumes, it could be NHL merchandise, what have you. And my reaction, because I was thinking about this conversation, was, would you actually charge the shopping mall owners for this, or would it be the actual merchant? And it kind of gave me this feeling of, is this all Facebook's fault? But in this instance, when you see this, it's really hard not to read this report and see so many times where there was an off-ramp here for Meta to do something about it.
Yeah.
And essentially, if this is true, not taking it. Look, we are in a world where Meta is pledging, $600 billion for US AI infrastructure. Well, who's paying for that? Is that users, or is that users being frauded that's ultimately paying for that? And again, I hate to be critical, because I do love the platform and have done things with Facebook over the years and think it's a great place for people to connect. But when you see this at this scale, it's the type of thing that is very concerning. And what makes me more frustrated with this is what will happen. What will the next quarter look like? Do people care? Are we okay with this?
But also, people, from this, people just have to protect themselves. Like everyone that logs onto Facebook and all these other platforms, you really, really have to be skeptical and critical of any of these ads, based not just on this reporting, but just based on everything we know about how this kind of stuff operates online. Mitch, I have to leave it there. It's always great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for your time, Elias.
Mitch Joel, tech advisor, investor, and author of Control Alt Delete.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.